Welcome from the deep. I am Mike the Finder.
And I am Book of Brett.
And today we're going to be talking about the 2023 film Evil Dead Rise. I have just so many thoughts about this, and
I've been really looking forward to this review actually because I am an Evil Dead fan.
Me too.
But not nearly the Evil Dead fan that you are.
Yeah.
I mean, when we did our review on Army of Darkness, that was the first time I'd ever seen anything past Evil Dead 2.
That's right.
So I like Evil Dead, but I am not the evil fanatic that you are. And I feel like fan and fanatic have kind of become their own thing. And I think that we can kind of use those to kind of like there's a difference between a fan of something and a fanatic of something, even though I know one is just a shortened version of the other, but I think it really applies here.
Well, let me get this out of the way just really quickly. These are just our opinions. And if my trailer reaction to this movie is any indication of what the reaction to this video is going to be like, I'm a little concerned that I'm going to be standing in a field all by myself here.
No.
So I'm going to reiterate that these are just my opinions. That does not mean
we are
that
fresh off this movie.
We watched I just got back from the theater 10 minutes ago. So I have a lot of thoughts about this. Just because we may differ in opinion does not mean that I think that you are stupid or are attacking you or any of that stupid bullshit that internet people do. So without further ado,
this is really telling on how you're going to feel about this.
Let me get some housekeeping out of the way here. If you are only watching this on YouTube, make sure you go check out the podcast apps to just listen to this without our faces attached to it, because I know that not everybody prefers to watch their podcasts. Some people like to listen to them in the car and stuff like that, and we are on all of your favorite podcast apps. If you are only listening to this on your favorite podcast app, go check out the YouTube channel. This is something I keep meaning to mention. We typically put out the video a couple days before we put out the audio podcast. So if you are like eager to hear our opinions on movies, we've been doing a lot of theatrical stuff this year so far. So if you're eager to hear what we think about a specific movie when it comes out, check the YouTube page, which is youtube.com/@fromthedeep, because we put those podcasts out over on the podcast or over on the YouTube page a couple days early typically. So yes. Do you want to go ahead and give us a synopsis of what Evil Dead Rise from 2023 is about? Then we will go over to IMDb. We will talk about spoiler-free opinions, and then we will tell you whether we think this movie is worth seeing from both of our opinions, and then we will start to get into spoilers and specifics and then ratings. So why don't you go ahead and give me a synopsis?
So this is basically a movie about a family who there's a little bit of disjointedness between the family. We don't get into that too much because character development is not this movie's friend. However, they basically go through an earthquake. They discover the Necronomicon, and chaos ensues in the form of a spiritual nature.
They discover a Necronomicon.
Necronomicon. Fair enough.
So, let's just jump over to the podcast drive-in here. Evil Dead Rise from 2023. It is rated R. It is an hour and 37 minutes. God damn, did it feel longer than that. It has a 7.5 out of 10 on IMDb here. It was directed by Lee Cronin. It was written by Lee Cronin, but it was also produced by Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell, so that's important. They did have their hands in this. And then it stars Mirabai Pease, Richard Crouchley, and Anna Marie Thomas.
That's my porn name.
Crotchley? That's fucking terrible. No one should ever.
Crotchley Maximus. That's my porn name.
And then the IMDb synopsis here says, a twisted tale of two estranged sisters whose reunion is cut short by the rise of flesh-possessing demons, thrusting them into a primal battle for survival as they face the most nightmarish version of family imaginable. So, I would desperately like to know how you felt about this movie, considering we are 10 minutes off just seeing it. We saw this in theaters.
So overall, I felt like I had fun with it, but not as in like the whole thing is a fun ride. Although I mean it is a fun ride, but I don't know, man. I felt like nothing mattered. I felt like the characters didn't matter. I felt like the story didn't matter. We get a little bit of a cool backstory here with the Necronomicon and it being introduced to almost like a committee type setting.
Yeah, that might be the best part of this. Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I had some issues with the fact that the teenage son is going to be a DJ on vinyl, or wants to be a DJ on vinyl.
Yeah,
like that was a little
I think he was using Serato.
He was, and it really, like, that kind of stood out to me. But as far as like semantics go, I'm not going to get into that too much. Overall, I really feel like this is the Avengers version of a violent horror movie to me, where it's about the flashiness. It's about the, what's the word I'm looking for? It's about how much you can put on the screen that will just shock people. With that said, the special effects department here deserves a huge round of applause.
Insane. Yeah.
Huge round of applause. The color grade is good. However, the exposure is not. I feel like this movie is a prime example of why on all of the movie set groups that I'm in and all the filmmaking groups that I'm in on social media are making all these memes and jokes about gaffers right now. I feel like this movie is a prime example of that. I felt it was very dark to the point of being underexposed at one point.
Oh, it's more than one. The whole fucking movie is just one dark room.
And it really, that really stood out to me. Overall, this felt more like, until we get to really the end of the second act and the entirety of the third act, I really feel like this is more of just a possession movie than an Evil Dead movie. I feel like we don't really get that Evil Dead humor until we're kind of halfway through the second act and the entirety of the third act. By that point, I was laughing. By that point, I saw the humor that they were trying to put out there. But really, overall, the thing did not feel like an Evil Dead movie for me until we get to maybe the 50 to 60% mark.
Man, I so fucking agree with that. I went into this with... If you want to see, I did a solo trailer reaction video for this movie a few months ago, and it's the only solo reaction, trailer reaction we have on this channel. And I got kind of ripped apart for it, for saying that I was kind of worried about this movie because A, Bruce Campbell's not in it. Yes, I know Ash versus Evil Dead and all the other, he's done with Evil Dead. I get it.
Yeah. Who can blame him, though?
I also had major concerns that Lee Cronin is the person that directed and wrote this and not Sam Raimi. That worried me a lot going into this, but I tried to go into this
producing can mean a lot of different things.
Yes. And in theory, I have been told when I made that trailer reaction video by a whole bunch of people, Sam Raimi chose Lee Cronin by hand. He chose him to make this movie because he thought that he could do a really good job with this. Now, if we look at Lee Cronin's other things that he's done, for instance, he's directed 9 things. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of those are shorts. 3 of those are TV. And the rest are movies. And so I was worried going into this, thinking that, or knowing that. And so for me, I felt the same way. This did not feel like a fucking Evil Dead movie. This felt like the most generic possession film that they could have made. This, when I walked out of the theater, my main thought for this was, this is them trying to turn this into a modern day horror franchise. That's what this is. This is them trying to take it in a brand new direction. I don't know why we couldn't go the same direction as the 2013 remake. I rewatched that today before I went to go see this, and it's great. I think it's awesome. It is a genuinely evil. It is an Evil Dead movie.
Yeah.
This did not feel like that until, like you were saying, closer to the end. I didn't even really get Evil Dead vibes until she picks up the fucking chainsaw in the last 10 minutes of the movie.
I started getting Evil Dead vibes when it started becoming a little bit more comedic. And that really doesn't happen until the end. We get we get a sense of cockiness out of the demon. But again, we're talking about the demon. And I feel like for an Evil Dead movie, we shouldn't be talking about the demon.
Well, I mean, yes and no. We'd be talking, if we were reviewing the original, we'd be talking about the girl on the floor.
Right.
You know, I don't really necessarily have a problem with that. What I do have a problem with is that none of the Evil Dead staples other than the Necronomicon are in here. You take the Necronomicon, well, forget that, because that's the last 10 fucking minutes of the movie. If you take the Necronomicon out of this movie, it changes nothing. Like, you could still make this the exact same movie without the Necronomicon in it.
Well, and I felt that way about literally everything they were trying to do with this movie.
It all felt fucking unimportant. Like
the bookend scenes that we get the opening scene and then the last scene. Yeah. Those could the only reason I see those two exist is because we actually just watched is a prequel. That's what I really feel we just watched. I feel like this was their way of setting it up for a sequel because, honestly, other than to show us the scalping, there's no reason for those end pieces to exist. Now,
well, we don't even need to see the scalping. Like, I will say the title card is super fucking dope. That title card is maybe one of the cooler title cards I've seen in a long time.
It may be the coolest title card I've ever seen.
It's fucking awesome.
Quite possibly the coolest title card I've ever seen. However, the only thing that's good about the opening and end scenes is that the fact that we get Alexis from Schitt's Creek in it.
Oh, I don't even know who that is.
I think that was her. If it's not her, it looks a lot like her. But my point is, nothing related to the story needs to exist for the sake of the story.
Yeah.
We can take it all out.
I think that
we have the same movie.
The thing here is that this week we also watched The Pope's Exorcist. And so like possession shit is fresh on my mind. So when I went into this, I was not thinking about that at all. But as I was watching it, I was sitting there thinking, like, you take the Necronomicon out of this, it changes nothing. It can still be, you know, if the Necronomicon is not found, but you set it in the exact same place, you can have that earthquake happen, and then you can have it break apart some evil thing that releases some spirit or something, and has the exact same fucking things happen without the Necronomicon in it, which is ass backwards for an Evil Dead movie. Like,
well, and everything about the characters themselves reeks of convenience.
Yeah.
The kid being a DJ in this day and age, I mean, like, we were in our 20s when we started doing the whole DJ thing. Did you ever think about vinyl?
No, but I will say there's an MF Doom sticker on his table. He's clearly into hip hop. He's not playing hip hop, but he's clearly into hip hop, and that's a much larger side of that. And we weren't hip hop DJs, so like, that's fair. You know, I don't know. I guess my point is you take away everything important to the characters and the story. You take away everything that isn't there as a means of scaring you, and you're not left with much. Well, and that's the thing. It's like every single scene in this is not telling me a story. It is simply there to freak me out and creep me out. That's the only reason it exists. And so
there's a large portion of every act dedicated to this possessed mother terrorizing the family.
Yeah, I also... This might be a symptom of me watching just entirely too much horror.
Yes, it is. I'm going to go ahead and just preface. Yes, it is.
I did not find this scary or creepy. And when I was standing up to leave, I heard multiple people around me say, it was good. It wasn't scary, but it was good. And that's like the thing that I walked away from thinking is this is not scary. The original Evil Dead, even Evil Dead 2, we could write Army of Darkness off as far as scariness goes because that is not what they were going for. But this doesn't have the Evil Dead creepy vibes that Evil Dead 1 and 2 both have. And I can't put my finger on why. It's in theory all the same stuff. Is it because it's not like it's just overdone at this point? Is it because we saw The Pope's Exorcist earlier this week and we're just sort of, I don't know, desensitized to the demon possession thing? Or
no, I don't think it's a matter of being desensitized. I think it's a matter of it relies so much on shock factor
and gore.
That there isn't and gore that there isn't a lot there for. This is why I love Smile so much, because it takes away the gore aspect and it focuses on really getting down. This is why I always say I'm not a horror fan the way you are a horror fan, but the movies that I love in horror are the ones that genuinely creep me out and genuinely frighten me and stick with me.
Well, this is why I like Lights Out, because it's creepy.
Yeah.
It's not...
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, and I have never been a big fan of like Saw or Hostel, and even Hostel I don't even think is that terrible. I think it just kicked off the whole gore porn thing. I don't think that this is trying to be gore porn, because it's much more subtle than that. There is a lot of gore and stuff in here, but it's layered under this really thin layer of story that they set up. And it's like you said, there is zero setup for any of these characters. I have no reason to care about this woman. I have zero reason to care. I don't know who she is. I've known her for all of 5 seconds before she gets possessed. It doesn't matter to me. Yes, the kid, Cassie, is the only one that I'm like, I would like to not see her perish. That'd be cool. But that's it. That's because I don't give a shit about any of them, because the story in this is so weak. Yes.
You mean the little girl? The biggest hard ass in this fucking movie? That little girl is a badass. Mm-hmm. That little girl, she impaled her sister through the mouth out of survival. That little girl is a badass in this movie. She's the only one I'm rooting for because she's so small and she's still like, yeah, you're not gonna fuck with me.
Well, okay, so I'm trying to figure out where to go with this, because I don't just want to spoil this movie because it's not even out yet, right? So it comes out tomorrow as we record this. So I would like to not just spoil every single thing of this. So why don't you just go ahead and give me your ideas of whether this is worth seeing in the theater or at all. And then we will move on into the spoiler section and all of that stuff.
I think this is definitely, if you're going to watch this movie, I think the theater is the right place to do it. However, I don't think that this thing offers anything new or even really exciting. I mean, in general. I mean, the special effects are cool.
Yeah.
They're cool. Oh, sorry, hang on. Excuse me. The special effects are cool. They are. The cinematography, and let's really distinguish cinematography from the other issues we have with it. The cinematography is really good.
Yeah.
The color grade is hyper underexposed.
Yeah.
And I understand they're going for the whole low light or low key lighting thing, but if you want to go watch a good low key lighting movie, go watch literally anything James Wan has done, because regardless of how you feel about Annabelle, The Conjuring, regardless of how you feel about the stories, the cinematographer that James Wan uses can do low key lighting like a master. He really can. You don't have to like the movies. I'm talking strictly about the lighting.
Well,
that's the thing that... What's that?
I said,
Fuck you.
You said you don't have to like the movies. I said, oh, that's good.
You know what pisses me off? I just saw the trailer for the new Insidious movie today, and I got excited about it.
It does look okay. That was played before this as well for me, and it looks okay.
Oh, was it? See, I didn't get to see that in theaters. I just see it on my phone.
Oh, okay.
But no. As far as an Evil Dead movie, this is going to disappoint.
Well,
there's no other way around it.
So this is why I think I got so much fucking hate on that trailer reaction video, because I'm a hyper big Evil Dead fan, and I saw the trailer and I thought to myself, that looks like it could be any fucking horror movie on the planet, but they slapped the fucking Evil Dead name on it for brand recognition, and that was it.
See, and I went into it from not the level of appreciation for Evil Dead that you have. But I still went into it knowing Evil Dead, and even I was sitting here going like, okay, this could be, for a good portion of the time, I was like, okay, this is Evil Dead on a more serious scale. And I really, really, really tried to hold on to that, because I feel like we get that Evil Dead vibe at the very beginning with the cabin in the woods and down by the lake, and we do really kind of get that vibe there.
I had high hopes in that first scene, and then we just move right the fuck on.
Yep, we move from an opening scene that has no relevance to a main movie that has no relevance from one act to the other. There's no reason to give a shit about any of these people or anything that happens in this movie except just to see what happens next. Not to see what happens to the characters next, but just to see what is portrayed on the screen next. So, yes, if you're gonna go see this, go see it in theaters. If you're going to go see a new Evil Dead movie, it's gonna be on streaming at some point.
Well, for me, I think that this is definitely a theater movie. I had one of the better experiences seeing this in a theater. That maybe even better than Scream. While I was watching it, I was like, "This is a better theater experience than I had when I saw the new Scream." And so it was great. Like, the people I was sitting next to were like, they were both wearing like Exorcist shirts, and like, this movie was packed full of actual real horror fans, and they were cheering and screaming and being frightened and all that shit. And it was awesome. The unfortunate part for me, I was fucking bored most of the time. Like, almost the entire time. I didn't give a shit about any of these characters. I don't care about any of them. And because I don't care about any of them, the stakes are not nearly as high as they want them to be. They move from one gore scene to another that has very little to do with anything Evil Dead related. And I get it. They're trying to... And I get it. They're trying to move into a new direction. And like you said, this very well could be a prequel, and we'll get a sequel to this, because I'm sure this is going to do well, because every Evil Dead fan in the world is going to go see this. And it's not directly going up against Scream anymore. Scream has, I think, probably gotten the views that it's going to get at this point. And this, other than The Pope's Exorcist, I think this is the only real horror movie that's in theaters right now. So this is going to do well, I think. It's got a huge budget as far as the marketing goes and all that kind of shit. But it doesn't feel like an Evil Dead movie to me. And I really tried to go into this open-minded, thinking, okay, the trailer made it look like it's not going to be super Evil Dead and there's no Ash and all that stuff. I can accept all of that. It did look intense, but it also looked generic as fuck. And guess what? Yep. That's how I felt about it. This is generic as fuck, and I didn't want it to be. I wanted to go into this movie, or I wanted to come out of this movie thinking that was fucking incredible. Damn, was I wrong? But the trailer ruined every little scary moment that is in this movie. It was in the fucking trailer. And
that's a really good point. You know what? I was thinking that actually while we were watching it, and you know, I'm sitting here thinking about now, and feel free to cut this out. But somebody left a comment on our trailer reaction saying, actually, Lee Cronin made a really reputable horror movie, and he was selected by Sam. Blah, 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 blah. We still got the movie we were expecting to get.
He made The Hole in the Ground, which I have not seen. but it is a 5.6 out of 10 on IMDb. So
right,
maybe it's
but
good,
it was
I don't know.
But it was worded in this way of like, I know about Lee Cronin.
Yeah.
Lee Cronin did a very good job. It was like he was giving a fucking job reference for the guy. And now we watch the movie, and it's like, well, no, that's what it ended up being. And I really like, I can't say this from a diehard Evil Dead fan standpoint. I feel like you can more than I can. But even I don't feel like this is an Evil Dead movie. That says something, because even I was sitting here watching this going, okay, like while I'm watching the movie, I'm going, okay, this doesn't feel like an Evil Dead movie, but I need to see what Mike says. Because to me, it doesn't feel like an Evil Dead movie, but he's a much bigger fan than I am.
I'm not going to sit around and pretend that Sam Raimi can do no fucking wrong. He made Spider-Man 3. I walked out of Spider-Man 3 in the theater.
He made Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
He has made some fucking garbage in the past. And just because he chose Lee Cronin to make this movie does not mean that he was the perfect fucking choice to make this.
No.
I don't think that Sam Raimi would have done that much better given this exact same script, because I think the problems that we're talking about here are in the script. It is not
100%.
It is not the
or
it is
the
not
editing.
well, that's true too, but it is not in the it's not the franchise's problem. It's the fucking script. It's so poor. It is written so fucking poorly. There is zero character progression. I don't give a shit about any of them. There's no story. Everything that we see on screen, every setup is such an obvious the moment she put those fucking scissors under that couch, I was like, well, I know what's coming with that. Like,
that'll come into play.
There's so many little things throughout this movie that I was like, that's a setup. That's a setup. Well, that's a setup as well. The cat in the fucking vents, like all of it is so see-through and so like first, I say this a lot, but it felt like a fucking first-year film student wrote this. Somebody who is just like, this is a first draft. This feels like a fan movie. It does not feel like a real Evil Dead movie. This is fan fiction made with an Evil Dead name. And God damn it, I'm so mad at Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell for being this is an Evil Dead movie. It's not. It's not a fucking Evil Dead movie. I don't give a shit what any of you say. It's not. It's generic as fuck. And anybody that says anything otherwise, you are blinded by the Evil Dead franchise. Period. And that's coming from somebody who fucking loves it.
Well, you heard it here, folks. Like, that's the mic. No,
I've been trying to be more open-minded lately.
No,
I've been trying to not shit on
it,
stuff, but this is so bad. Go ahead.
No, I'll wait for the barometer to go down.
I'm done. Go ahead.
No, what I find interesting here is we have a subjectively and objectively opinion that coincides with one another. Yours is very subjective. You're very into the Evil Dead franchise. You're very into the Evil Dead series. Mine is a bit more objective here, where I am familiar with the Evil Dead series. I like the first one. I like the second one. I've just crazy mixed feelings on the third one, which really just feels like Evil Dead and the Monty Python writers got together. But this one to me feels almost like subjectively and objectively, you and I are having the same issues with this movie.
Well, here's a great example, and this is super random, and I just saw this on IMDb. The guy with the gun, the older guy. Mm-hmm. Do you know his name?
Roger.
Do you know who owns the meat grinder thing at the end?
No, but was it Roger?
It's the guy with the gun. His name is Mr. Fonda. I didn't catch that in the movie. Did you? I did, however, notice it said Fonda's tree service removal or whatever on the side of the fucking what are those called? I'm blanking on what those are called, where you shove a tree
Arborists.
branch. Okay. It did say Fonda on
wood
that.
Chippers?
Wood chipper. Thank you. This is the fucking problem. that guy is just in this fucking movie. I have no idea who he is. It would have been great had I known that he owned the fucking wood chipper. You know how I know that? Because I see his name is Mr. Fonda in the fucking IMDb, and I remembered that Fonda is on the side of the fucking wood chipper. It's not explained.
Somebody please correct me if I'm wrong here, but the inside of that wood chipper looks an awful lot like a rock crusher. Now, I don't work in construction. I don't work in quarries, or I'm not an arborist, but the inside of that wood chipper looks an awful lot like a rock crusher. And regardless of what it is, I want somebody to tell me, to let me know, like, you know, like what it is, just because I'm curious. However, regardless, it's really, really weird that it's just hanging out in this parking garage.
Well, you know what? How it would have made more sense if they would have fucking explained who Mr. Fonda was and what he was doing.
Yeah.
You know what? Also, oh my God.
Nothing in this movie matters.
Can you explain to me? We're going to start getting into spoilers and specifics here. Can you explain to me why there are no stairs on their floor?
I feel like that's the whole Necronomicon thing. I feel like that's the supernatural aspect of just, it got rid of it to trap them into having to take the elevator.
No, because they specifically, before all the stuff really starts to go crazy, Mr. Fonda says you're going to have to go through the empty thing in order to go down the fucking fire escape because the elevators aren't working. She even says, you know not to take the elevator after an earthquake. So what are they supposed to take if the stairs don't fucking exist? If the the apartment that is locked up is the only way to get down the fire escape.
Well, that's the thing. She's telling them not to take the elevator, but they can't take the stairs now.
Dude, stairs are never even mentioned.
But every apartment building has them.
Until the end, when the girl from the beginning, who is clearly on a different floor, who somehow didn't hear multiple gunshots, even though she said she was awake all night, and all the screaming and the blood and the fucking the elevator crashing to the fucking ground floor. She didn't hear any of this, even though she says she was awake all fucking night, right? She takes the fucking stairs down because the elevator's broken. Maybe I missed something. Somebody please explain this to me, because it drove me the entire time I was sitting there going, why are there no stairs? Every fucking apartment building has stairs, and you can't take the stairs. Are the stairs broken?
Like I said,
one scene of the stairs broken would have fucking explained that away. One shot.
I think the evil forces of the Necronomicon took the stairs away.
I don't buy that. That's not even a little bit. I just
that's
don't
fair.
buy it.
But again, I'm looking at this from a supernatural point of view, and when we look at it from a supernatural point of view and not an Evil Dead point of view, I feel like anything's possible at that point. And so that's what I think happened. I think the evil forces from the Necronomicon took the stairs away and made them inaccessible. And so they had to take the elevator.
Okay. Can you explain to me how the girl got infected with a demon by a tattoo gun?
Well, because... plot.
All the other people in the hallway, I get it. Like, directly killed by them. She had a little itty-bitty cut from a tattoo gun on her face.
By dawn. I loved that. I started laughing at that part. I did too.
That was actually pretty cool. I also thought that would be a killer name for a band. You know, I just, there are so many little things like that I just kept trying to ignore. And I've been trying not to be nitpicky asshole lately, but I couldn't fucking help it with this movie. There's too much of it. There's too many coincidences and too much setup, and it's just see-through as fuck. It's shallow. There's no real story. The characters are bad. I fucking hated it. The gore is great, and if that's all you're there for, fine. That's
like going and watching an Avengers movie again.
Exactly.
Like
that's a great fucking point. Good point.
That's why I said this is the Avengers of horror.
Yeah.
That's what this is. This is you're on a roller coaster ride. And I know Martin Scorsese gets a lot of shit for being super pretentious about a lot of shit, but I think the motherfucker nailed it on the head when he talks about these Marvel movies. They're roller coaster rides. You sit there, you experience it for, a few minutes in the sense of a roller coaster, hour and a half to 2 hours in the sense of a movie. But after that, you don't take anything away from it. And there's nothing to take away from this. Like, I like a horror movie that's going to make me sit there, and while I'm going to sleep, I am replaying shit over in my head. When I saw Smile, I couldn't get that bitch's face out of my head.
I thought about Smile for days after I saw it.
I couldn't get it out of my head. The Ring was actually the same thing when it first came out back in the day. And after we left The Ring, we went to my mom and dad's house. I went inside to go grab some stuff before we went and stayed at his parents' house. And I was creeped out by the dark. Those are the horror movies I want to see.
Well,
this isn't that.
Well, that might be the problem, though, right? Is like the original Evil Dead. There's a lot of gore and there's a lot of gross out shit and a lot of all that stuff in there. But
there's
that's not
story.
But that's not all it is.
Yep.
And that's all this is.
Yep. It's hey, we've got this really cool idea. Hey, Tom Savini, what do you think? Cool, let's put that in there. And then we're going to go ahead and just move on to the next scene. And then we're going to move on to the next scene.
But did Tom Savini do the things for this?
No, that was that was just the best reference I could think of when it comes to special effects, because I'm a plebe. And so, but my point is, nothing about this story makes any difference whatsoever. It's a bunch of really cool shots. It's a show reel. We have a special effects show reel here. And thank God we watched Dead Alive and then Pope's Exorcist and then this movie, because I really feel like that helped me. And I know that sounds really sarcastic, but I'm coming to a point here. I really think that helped me look past the gore and the violence and the special effects and really observe this as a movie, as a film. I think that helped me look past that and not to sit there and go like the scene where she like rips out his fucking, oh wow, I'm really getting into it. The scene where she really like rips out his fucking larynx. That would have really, like, I would have been like, oh God. but because we've watched these movies, we did this in perfect succession for this movie to really see this movie for what it is. And what it is a vapid special effects show reel.
Yep.
That's what we've got here.
I agree completely. There's nothing, and I haven't written my Letterboxd review yet, but I think the title of it is going to be All Style, No Substance. That's all this is, man. It's just a bunch of pretty shit strung together. The moment she's like, I can give us power. And she fucking like, she starts putting a bunch of batteries together to run an entire fucking DJ. No.
You need to name your review the Necronomicon without the pictures.
The Necronomicon. All right.
The Necronomicon. Yes. There you go.
All right. Well, do you have anything else to say about this? I don't want to spoil everything because this is still super new. So
no, just like our review is negative, but go into this with loose expectations. If you are a big Evil Dead fan, go into this with real light expectations. I think you're going to be real disappointed. I really do. If you are going into this as a you used the term date night horror when you described Lights Out.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is an extreme date night horror movie. And I think that if you need to go, I think that's the best way of going into this is, go into this with the expectation of like, okay, what can I get for her to latch onto my arm?
Yeah.
Go on, you big creeper. Do it. Do it. You know you want to. This is the movie for you. But no, in all seriousness, if you're a big Evil Dead fan, I do think there is going to be a pretty high level of disappointment here.
I honestly don't know if that's true, Brett. I want to believe that because I want to think that horror fans are intelligent enough to see this movie for what it is, but I have a feeling so many people are so loyal to the Evil Dead as a brand that they're gonna fucking love this.
Yeah.
I'm really worried about that. This is going to be hyper successful, and we're going to look like two jackasses that don't like it, and the rest of the world is going to be yelling about how good this movie is, and I can't fucking understand it at all.
Let's get something out of the way that I think we've gotten out of the way a few times now, but we really, really need to get out of the way. I don't care. I don't care if you agree with me. I don't care if you like what I have to say. I'm here to voice my opinions, give you what I thought. I'm not speaking for Mike right now. I'm speaking to you. I'm speaking to you, the viewer, the troll. I don't care if you don't like what I have to say. I'm saying it. And this microphone right here and this URL right over here give me the power to do so. But no, in all seriousness, no, all joking aside.
That was tongue in cheek, just so everybody knows. I feel like we have to point that out because people are idiots and they won't understand that. But
yeah, no, that was definitely very tongue in cheek. We obviously give a shit about what people think about our opinions. Otherwise, we wouldn't be putting ourselves on display in such an egotistical manner. We wouldn't edit these if we didn't give a shit. But in all seriousness, I think as an Evil Dead fan, I think there's going to be some disappointment here because there was some disappointment for me as not a huge Evil Dead fan. However, I mean, not to like steal a segue away from Mike or anything, but I genuinely would like to know what the hardcore Evil Dead fans think for the sake of perspective, not for the sake of going, oh, you're wrong, and fighting and arguing over things that aren't real. But I think that it would be really interesting to get the perspective of people that are hardcore Evil Dead fans, although you are a pretty hardcore Evil Dead fan.
Yeah. Well, and this is why I genuinely don't know if other Evil Dead fans are going to feel this way. The two guys that were sitting next to me, both really seemed to enjoy it. And they were like, they were wearing horror shirts. They were into it the whole time. Like, and they were laughing at the right times. They were like joking it with each other, pointing stuff out. They really seemed to enjoy it. And I was sitting there like almost seething the entire fucking time going, this is exactly what I was hoping it wouldn't be. Shallow, gore-filled bullshit. And dude, I'm not the biggest fan of remakes. I like the 2013 remake. I think it's good. It's a fucking Evil Dead movie.
I need to go back and watch that because I've only seen it once. And do you know that I actually saw that in theaters?
I do remember that. We were living together. You saw that at Sugar Creek. The Sugar Creek.
And I came back and I was offended by it.
You were, yeah.
Yep. I was offended by it because I was a simp. And I will admit when I'm a simp. And I didn't have the appreciation for horror that I do now.
Right. Well, that was fucking 10 years ago. It's insane what 10 years can do with horror. Like, this feels completely different than the 2013 remake. And that's not a bad thing. I was expecting it to be completely different. But you know what? The 2013 movie is a fucking Evil Dead movie. This is a generic possession movie. And you take away the Necronomicon, really you take away those, you can even do the records and stuff still. You don't have to have it attached to the Necronomicon. You could do that with some evil satanic prayer or whatever you want to do and change it ever so slightly, and it changes nothing as far as Evil Dead goes. This is not an Evil Dead movie, and that is my fucking opinion, and I'm sticking the fuck to it, regardless of what any of you say. It's not an Evil Dead movie.
Yeah, and I'm going to completely agree with you. again, but that's why I think this is so very interesting, is because you're doing this from a very subjective point of view. I'm doing this from it's obviously subjective because it's my opinion, but I'm also doing this from a more objective point of view than you are.
Yeah, for sure.
And
for sure.
We're pretty much coming to the same conclusions.
And I want to be very clear. I wanted to like this. I wanted to walk away from this movie thinking, damn, I was so fucking wrong. That trailer just didn't do this movie justice. And damn, Sam Raimi chose the right guy to do this and write this. And no, I don't feel that way at all. And I wish that I did, but I don't.
Yep.
So
yeah, I'm gonna to kind of like recap everything. I think the best way of really describing this is that if you take all the trailers that have been released, those are the scariest parts.
Yeah, the trailers ruined this entire movie. The entire movie, everything that was good is in those trailers.
Yep.
So all right, well, go ahead and give me a rating for Evil Dead Rise.
I'm gonna give it 5 out of 10.
Wow.
It's everything about it is middle of the road.
Yeah.
Everything about it is middle of the road. I'm not gonna give it below or above average, but I'm gonna give it 5 out of 10. I mean, you know what? I'll give it 6 out of 10. I did have fun with it. I did have fun with it.
You take away the words Evil Dead, great movie. Great movie.
Yeah. But
That's what's fucked up
yeah.
about it.
I'm gonna go with 6 out of 10.
All right. Well, for me, I'm gonna go ahead and give this a 4 out of 10. This is not a fucking evil. This is not an Evil Dead movie. It's good in the parts that are supposed to be gory. The gore is great. The cinematography, while kind of generic, it's good. The lighting is not good at all. The constant shallow depth of field in every fucking... You know why? Because it's so dark. Because the whole fucking movie is so dark. It drove me crazy. There's a bunch of really cool shots where you got the dual plane focus going on. Super cool. Lots of really cool cinematography in this. That is the only fucking thing it has going for it. That's it.
Check out my new movie Arrival coming out where I shot it at f3.5 or higher.
So... All right. Any more thoughts before we get out of here?
Not anything that's going to make anybody less pissed off. No.
All right. Well, if you like this, I know you didn't. It's fine. These are just our opinions. Ratio this video. I don't give a fuck. This is not an Evil Dead movie. So if you like this, make sure you hit the like button. If you really liked it, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We're assholes. We know that, and it's fine. If you did like our opinion on this, awesome. I bet you will enjoy a lot of our other videos because there's a ton of stuff like this on this channel where we're just assholes about horror movies.
And if you didn't, go make your own channel.
Amen to that. So thank you guys for watching this. If you got all the way to the end of this, we really super appreciate it. And we will see you guys next time, assuming somebody doesn't kill us for our opinions on From the Deep. Bye-bye.
Come at me.
Okay, that's... Oh no.